Today I'm going to get into transitioning between patterns using guitar pedals, and let's get into that right now. Yo, what's up? It's Analog Kitchen and welcome to another video. If this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video, because whenever I drop a new video online, you'll be the first to find out all about it and you'll help me grow my channel. How do you transition seamlessly from one pattern or one sequence into the next? Now, a while ago I did a video on how to transition from one pattern to the next, and a trick that I found by using the Octatrack and the MPC. It's one of those things when you do an electronic live set, so just think on, I want to progress from one song to the next, but unlike a DJ who just basically just hears the track on his headphone, mixes it in, and then the new record will just enter the room, you now have to do everything live. So how do you transition seamlessly from one pattern or one sequence into the next? There's a few tricks that you can use, and one of them I'm going to show you today by using guitar pedals. I love guitar pedals because, for one, there's a huge variety of them, whereas on a Pioneer mixer it's pretty much the same thing. Today I'm working with a delay pedal, and I'm also working with the Cathedral, which is a reverb pedal. So without further ado, let's get into that. So back at the live set, this is the flight case. If you follow this channel, you know what's in it. If not, there is a video on what I use in the box, and I will link something up here. Okay, so how I've set this up now is I want to use guitar pedals. As you can see, you very, very witty person, because you see, he's using the Zoom live track. Okay, there are effects on this. Why not use the effects that it comes with? Well, quite frankly, I don't like them. I don't want to use them. This desk has got a lot of advantages that I would say. I would love this desk, because sometimes somebody else brings something, or I'm jamming with somebody out in the club or whatever, and you need more inputs. You need to have more inputs. If I'm bringing the 909 and I want to split out the outputs so that I've got more control over the sound, I'd love to have a little bit more inputs, because more inputs are always better. But the problem with more inputs is that the sooner you start working with more inputs, the more, how shall I put it? Well, let's put it this way, the mixers will get bigger fast as well. So what I've done is I've made a loop for myself. I made a loop so that the sound that I'm actually using coming out of the Octatrack is getting fed through the digital delay and through the stereo reverb. For that matter, I'm using the digital delay DD7 by Boss, obviously that's Roland, and Cathedral, which is done by Electro Harmonics. They're rooted together, so the delay and the Cathedral are both on. I can turn them on or turn them off manually, which is easy. And the way I've set it up now is that on the Octatrack, I'm using 2 channels for one sound. Let me explain. In this case, channels 1 and 4 play the exact same sound, but channel 1 is coming out of the main out, and channel 4 is coming out of the Q out, because as you know, the Octatrack has got 2 separate stereo outputs, which is very handy, as well as the 4 or the 2 stereo inputs, or 4 mono inputs I should say. And stuff is routed in a way internally that if I had to do that in a club, it's just headache. So that's why everything is in this flight case, all wired up, easy to go. But what I've done now is I've used the Q output for another channel, for another track, and on that track the exact same thing plays. So let's get into what's playing on track number 1. Easy peasy, right? But that's also playing on track number 4. But now, what I've done is I've switched. So turning it on, the same track playing on both the faders, but on track 4 is going out of the Q out into the DD7. And go back to the dry one. So it gives an effect, and it lingers on. I really like it, because also with the Octatrack, when you turn something off, it stays off and you go to a different pattern. That's what something I like about the Octatrack. With the MPC, if you turn stuff off, you go to a different channel. If it's done via MIDI, which is how I set up the levels on the MPC, it basically means it gets a reset at the beginning of the new sequence. So everything that you just turned off is basically on again. And that's not the case with the Octatrack, which I love absolutely. So what is happening? So if I want to transition into another track, basically I can just turn this one off, and then that's another trick with the Octatrack, when you just keep function and you press this, so 1, 2, 3, bam, it goes on, which is handy if you want to do things on a groove. So having said that, say I got my groove going. So what have we got here? We've got this track playing, bass drum playing, the drums are coming from the MPC. So right now you don't hear anything. So MPC, drums. Obviously, I like my kick separate, so here is a kick. Right, okay, let's get in seriously. So out of the Octatrack, obviously, like I told you, a lot of stuff is routed through the Octatrack. So you have the Mini Tower coming from the Octatrack, the Model D coming from the Octatrack, and as well the Tetra also coming from the Octatrack, getting summed, and I can use effects in the Electron Octatrack, but also the effects are not the greatest. I end up using the dark verb the most, and I want some more effect, and it's either on this side delay or reverb. And what if I want to use it together? It's a limitation on the Octatrack, and I just want to have more reach, so I'm using another channel. So there's another channel here. Let's turn the Octatrack off. This is the Octatrack. The Octatrack is coming from the stereo out now, the main out. And now it's going through the effects. But if I turn this one off, track 1, the dry signal, I can now transition into some sort of a groove. And can focus on this. If I want to transition into another pattern where there are more drums, I'm going to do it like this. Turn this off. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Build it up. Build up the groove. Now, I think it's very useful to just think on this, because sometimes you can really stretch out your groove, stretch out what you want to do, but you don't want to just keep running behind the train. This is a stupid analogy, but you have to understand that sometimes it's very hard to just keep the vibe going. And when people work with a laptop and they come with Ableton, they've got all these automated effects at their disposal, I should say. It's easy for them to just get into that, and it's easy for them to just like move in and just do everything that you hear on the records that DJs are playing. But when you do a live set, sometimes you have to come up with some creative ways to make your transition going. So back in this transition, for instance, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And back in there again. In the groove. Very dubby, very hypnotizing. That's what we like. I love my music to be a little bit more hypnotizing. I love stuff to be a bit out there so that I will also get into the zone and, you know, get a bit of a flow going. Now this is a trick that I'm using. Obviously, if you've got different ways of working the Octatrack, I like that machine. I know it well. I'm not gonna say that I master it, like for instance, like how Ricky Tinez is doing it, or maybe how Cuckoo is doing it. I'm using it in my way, the way I think that stuff is working. That concludes our broadcast day, but not for long, because before you know it, there's a new video online, probably next week, because I'm doing these videos weekly, obviously. So thanks for checking that out. If there's anything you would like to know, do not hesitate to leave a comment in the section below. Also, click subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out when I drop a new video, and you'll help grow the channel. All the gear that I'm using on my live set, if you like anything, you want to check anything out, links are down below. I will see you in another video. Peace.